And good morning, it's Kurt Staley of Simcoe Plastics coming to you from my favorite video location, the Barrie Yacht Club, located on the north shore of Kempenfelt Bay in beautiful Barrie, Ontario, Canada. First, I'd like to say before I get started with this week's video, I'd like to thank you for the continued feedback and support that my videos are receiving. And I was actually interviewed last week as well for an article on recycling that appeared in one of our local papers. And I want to thank you for the positive comments on that article and the likes and shares. And really the driver, it always has been and always will be to improve our engagement on recycling. It's so important regardless if it's plastic, metal, paper, cardboard, glass. We just simply need to continue recycling to have better engagement in recycling and to ensure we minimize what goes to landfill. So in last week's video I talked a little bit about fillers, and I had some great engagement from two individuals in the industry. First, Todd Stevens of Omnia, and Todd wanted to point out that the natural refresh rate that Mother Earth can deliver us, calcium carbonate, is about 2 to almost 3 times our take rate to be used in industry. So that's great news, and it just shows that not everything we manufacture is just a one-time extraction with no hope of replacement. So I think that's really good news, and thanks, Todd, for sharing that. The second interaction that I had came from Chris Jarmut, president of Phantom Plastics in Cincinnati, Ohio. Chris is an expert in formulating plastics, and he works with a number of automotive and industrial OEMs to come up with specific plastic solutions. Chris and I had some dialogue about recycling, and he forwarded an article that he had written about single-use plastic straws, plastic bags, and how it's actually not quite as bad for the environment as maybe we're being led to believe. And I think I just want to say it really depends. You have to recycle these things. If they go to landfill, it's not great. I am always going to emphasize the need to recycle plastics, but I think it's worthwhile noting that we're all consumers. We consume everything from clothing and shoes and jewelry and personal healthcare products to durables such as automobiles and appliances, barbecues, and the not so durable things or easily phased out things, electronics, and we consume an awful lot of electronics. But these things, they need to be recycled, and we have to understand that we need to optimize our consumption behavior for our own lifestyle and budget requirements. And I'm going to talk probably in another video about some of my philosophies around buying higher quality things, the best that you can afford that last longer, versus single-use or limited-use items, but that's another topic. Chris in his article did mention, and I think rightfully so, that when we look at anything that's manufactured, there are essentially going to be some consequences to how things are manufactured. And the paper straws that are sort of becoming more in vogue now, they go through a manufacturing process. They're likely glued just like toilet paper rolls or paper towel rolls. It's, I would imagine, a very similar process. So when these items are used and disposed of, those toxic things, the glues, are going to be leaching out as the product decomposes. So is it worse than plastic? I don't know. If we take an item like paper and put it in a landfill, it will break apart, it will decompose, or it will essentially come apart. But is that a better or worse thing than taking a plastic item and properly recycling it? I don't know what to tell you on that. It's really going to depend on your personal consumption behavior, and if you're a devotee of recycling and you take every last ounce of plastic and recycle it, probably using a plastic straw, if you need to use it at all, is the right thing to do. If you're in a situation where you can't possibly recycle a piece of plastic and a paper option's given, that's probably the right thing to do under those circumstances. So you really have to apply a little bit of critical thinking when it comes to using these types of products. Chris, you know, I'm going to put an article to a link to Chris's article when I post this, and you can read it for yourself. when we talk about plastic bags, and I'll probably do a little video on that, please do remember you can get multiple uses out of a plastic bag, and that's, you know, the reduce, reuse, recycle slogan that's been thrown around for quite some time. Reuse. It's so important, even with plastic straws. Why not reuse them? Why not? We can do it. At any rate, I'm probably rambling, so I'm going to call it quits there. But I encourage you to think about your consumption, and I encourage you, as always, to get out there and protect your playground. Thanks, and we'll talk again next week.